Hey guys, Charles from Halt's Boots here, and today we are taking a look at the Tiempo Legend 9 Elite made in Montebelluna, Italy. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and unbox these and just taking a quick look at the box. Nothing special, just a straight silver Nike box with the black logoing. Nothing special about this, you know, my standard size 9. Has the MI for made in Italy, I'm pretty sure, but other than that, you know, it's nothing really special. We did see with the Hypervenom 3 Montebelluna that it was pretty cool. It was like a black sleek box, some like minor detailing and stuff. So unfortunately we didn't get that with the Tiempo, but that's okay. You know, I wish I could have seen it, but it's not the end of the world. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and open these up. Check these boots out. I love that the leather is not like completely white. It's like this light palish blue, almost gray. I would say it's like almost gray, almost blue. It's kind of in between. Just some really neat touches. It's hard to see, but you know, you have Tiempo indented on this little leather piece here. The heel is really cool, Montebelluna. You know, just established 1996, the Nike Athlete Factory, as well as, you know, sometimes they make other boots there, but just really nice detailing. I love that the stitching is blue. You know, you have the same padding that's on the Tiempo 10 there. And just overall, these boots, even just at first glance, are really, really awesome. Got this silver chrome sole plate, super nice. Obviously, it's gonna wear off, and that tends to happen. You know, you have this chrome finish will wear off sticker, but you know, it is what it is. I'll go ahead and get the other one out here. You know, just so you can see. All right, we'll move this out of the way. And these do come with a bag. It is kind of nice to see that. I feel like we're not always getting bags now with some limited edition boots from all brands, so at least Nike's sticking with that. And it just has nice little detailing here. You can see these are all cobbler tools, and if you don't know, cobbler is just someone who makes shoes or fixes shoes or just deals with leather working and stuff on anything footwear related. So that's a really, really cool detail. Just tons of their tools. You know, you got the Montebelluna logo, Tiempo logo. I want to say that's either just like Tiempo outlines or almost looks like a Tiempo 4 outline as well. And then just all over the back, you know, just Montebelluna logo. So that's a cool bag. And just so you guys know, I actually had my first pair back in October and I've abused them. So I just kind of wanted to do this review so everybody could see a pair brand new. I really wanted a second pair brand new just to kind of keep or maybe wear in the future. So I've already worn these, and so this is gonna be a slightly different review, although I'll have worn these boots probably the longest out of any boot I've reviewed so far, just because I've had them for so many months now. But it's definitely a boot that I really like. I'm still going to treat it the same. We're going to get into the tech specs the same, and I'll kind of just go over some stuff I heard and some stuff I was thinking when I originally got these. So this leather is untreated, and that's one thing that everybody was kind of talking about. And if you've seen any of the pros wear these, I know Tyler Adams wore these a lot. He might still be wearing them. And they just kind of leaked moisture in. Obviously they planned really nice pitches for the pros, but just unfortunately it was unavoidable for these boots, in that it would just kind of leak up and into the boots and kind of dyeing them a nasty color. And you'll actually see the pair I wore, they're absolutely destroyed. They have never been worn on grass, but it didn't really matter. And yeah, overall this boot was actually really nice. I put it in my rotation immediately, and it stayed in my rotation for a long time. And once we jump into the tech specs, I'll kind of break down the boot completely, tell you some of the things I didn't like, tell you some of the stuff I liked, and we can just kind of go from there. When I wore this boot, I'd already wore the Tiempo 9, and I didn't really have any other expectations coming in other than I need to try this boot out. So I didn't hear any rumors in terms of like performance-wise or anything like that. I just kind of knew, yes, it's untreated leather, and yes, it will leak into the boot when you get any sort of moisture or water or wet grass. But other than that, I had really good experience with this boot. One other thing about this boot is they went with a different insole than they usually go with. This is almost like a sleek vinyl material, maybe even leather, like a really refined leather. It's hard to tell, but it's super slick, and it, you know, you can tell it's definitely a Nike insole, just because yes, it has a Nike logo, but this is the kind of insole we've always seen with Nike boots for the last, I don't know, 8 years, 7 years. So, you know, definitely interesting that they decided to go with this design, but you know, it is what it is. All right, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and jump into the tech specs. Hey guys, real quick, before we go any further into this video, make sure you check out our website, haltsboots.com, where we have tons of boots ranging from retro to the newer models. So head over there, use discount code YouTube for 5% off your next purchase. So I didn't mention it in the unboxing, but what is really cool about these boots is they're actually made in Montebelluna, Italy. And the whole boot is kind of based around Montebelluna, and you know, has little homages like the Italian flag here and all over the boot, and there's a reason for that. And that reason is Nike actually has their Nike Athlete Factory in Montebelluna, Italy, and at least for all their football players. And guys like Ronaldo, Mbappe, and everybody else gets all their boots custom made to a mold of their foot at this factory. Not only is it custom made, it's handmade, so it's almost like to the stitch, these boots are made for these athletes. And it's kind of nice that they do that because, you know, if you're someone like myself who's sometimes trapped between an 8.5 or a 9, it's nice that they can actually custom make it. And sometimes they put a size on these boots, sometimes they don't. It just depends. I've seen a few kind of like different size tags on like some player issued boots. So it is kind of cool that they do have a factory for this. And kind of the whole thing about this boot is that we're kind of giving a glimpse of what it's like to have like high quality handmade boots versus the boots that are usually just made at a factory, you know, somewhere in Asia where Nike usually makes their boots. So it is kind of nice that they did that, and it's just kind of just to give you guys a better idea on why they're so special and why Montebelluno, Italy is so special with Nike boots. So like I told you guys in the unboxing that I actually wore a pair of these already, and I got them back in like October, maybe November, and wore them a ton indoors on turf and nowhere else, but just basically threw them in my boot rotation. And that's one of the few pairs that I've recently thrown into my boot rotation over the last few years, because usually I'm just using like F50s, my 11 Pros, and whatever boots I'm testing. But when I was wearing these Tiempos, I'm gonna tell you, I wore them to like every single day. Like for a while, it was the only boot I was wearing. I absolutely love these, and if you can pick up a pair, I definitely suggest you do. All right, and just so you guys know that I'm not lying, here is a used pair, or my used pair that I've absolutely beat up and destroyed, and here's a brand new pair. So you can just tell like how disgusting these boots get. And you know, unfortunately, they'd probably still be really dirty even if they didn't have the untreated, unfinished leather, but that's just, like I said, it's gonna happen when you have leather like this, that it's just gonna be able to absorb anything and everything. And so when you put on top of, you know, just all the black staining and gray staining you get from just turf and all like the pellets, this is then gonna mix with your sweat on your foot, because this also absorbs your sweat really easily, and it just makes for one disgusting boot. So I didn't ever clean them. Maybe I could, maybe I'll black them out at some point just to kind of give them a bit more vigor. But for the most part, you know, I wore these, and they did really, really well. So if we get going with this boot, first thing I want to talk about is the sole plate, and it is the Tiempo 8 sole plate. Like I said in the unboxing, I actually didn't know that until I did the unboxing today, because I just didn't pay attention to them. I wasn't doing reviews really when I got these boots. So yeah, I mean, it's the sole plate I don't mind. I never really wore the Tiempo 8 just because the only pair I ever had was the Dazzle, like limited edition. So I never really wanted to break those out of the box. But getting to experience the sole plate, I would say it doesn't feel any different than the Tiempo 9, than the Tiempo 7. It's all basically the same sole plate. The Tiempo 9 is just tweaked slightly, and then now with the new Tiempo 10, it's just tweaked very slightly again. So nothing really huge there, no big deals there. Definitely still a good sole plate. It worked really well on turf. That's all I wore it on. It helps that it's very, very neutral up here in the front. You have just tons of conical studs, and then you have obviously the blades in the heel there, if you can see. So yeah, just normal blades like the Tiempo. So nothing really to write home about. Only bummer is, yes, having that chrome sole plate. I don't know how easy you can tell, but you can see here it's definitely worn out. It's still kind of prevalent down below, but you know where most of the contacts made all over the studs, the heel, it's just gone. So only real bummer about that, but otherwise really good sole plate. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And actually, real quick again on the sole plate before we move on to lockdown, is it just, I found it weird that they use the Tiempo 8 sole plate. I don't know why, I don't know what caused them to do this. I mean, it's a good sole plate. I'm not complaining about the sole plate itself, just you already had the Tiempo 9 sole plate out. This came out during the Tiempo 9, and it has the same upper as the Tiempo 9. So, and this, even the same tech, like just the plush, like the padding they have there. So why they did that, I don't know. It seems kind of weird, but oh well. Nike's been doing this a lot lately with their sole plates, and I guess so is Adidas when they switched the Copa. Anyways, so we'll move on to lockdown. So for lockdown, I was just talking about the laces. The only thing I had to do, if you can see there, is I went down an eyelet, and that's just because the laces were just too short. Other than that, lockdown was fine. Felt exactly the same as the Tiempo 9 Elite did. So, I mean, it is based off the Tiempo 9 Elite, so I mean, it makes sense why it did, but no real heel slippage, no real, you know, just feet feeling like they're sliding around or anything like that. Like the boot performed well, did what it was supposed to do. Lockdown was there, never had any issues in that aspect, just the laces really. So I didn't have any issues with lockdown because what I actually did was, get it here, is I swapped insoles, and I have the 11 Pro 3 insole in here. You can throw whatever insole you want, whatever's comfortable, whatever insole you have that's really just broken in. I suggest you could put a brand new one in there. But the issue is like I mentioned in the unboxing, it just has this like vinyl insole, and even with grip socks, you know, your foot goes in it and it still just kind of slides all over the place. And Usually insoles don't really matter, but when it's just a sleek surface that offers nothing but just, when your feet sweat, it's gonna be slippery in there, and it just did not help at all. So after the first session, I immediately took them out and swapped insoles, and it was perfect that way. So I suggest you do that. And just to kind of give you a look again, it is a cool looking insole, but it's super slippery. You can even hear it. There's no resistance whatsoever. So other than that, yeah, just swap out your insole if you get these boots, or have them. If you haven't, at least try it. And I think it made a world of a difference and really improved the boot. So if we want to move on to the upper of the boot, it does have the one-piece knit upper that the Tiempo 9 does, like I said earlier. That performed really well. It has just a nice little Tiempo logo there. But I really like this untreated leather. It does feel like it's hardening just a little bit. And I think that's just, one, because I've had them for a while. And two, I've worn them so much that my sweat and everything is just kind of, unfortunately, stuck in this boot, as well as every other, just kind of like turf, and everything else that just kind of gets on the boot. It's kind of just in there, so that's not going to help. It held up pretty well, and I don't know, we'll see, I don't think it'll focus, but it has a little bit of torn up leather right here in the toe, and that happens with all leather boots, but I think this boot is just a bit more prone to that because it's just untreated and not protected. But the leather felt super, super soft. I didn't mind having this like cushion, almost like CTR like these that the Tiempo 9 has. It just adds to the boot in my opinion. The touch on the ball felt really good. Anytime I struck a ball, I felt like I had really clean contact. Anytime I hit a pass, anything like that, this is a really solid upper. I really like that they did this untreated leather. Again, the only bummer is that it doesn't stay that really nice, like, light blue, grayish color. It's gonna eventually turn into this, or maybe it'll look slightly better if it had grass stains instead of just turf stains, but it was still a great boot, and still really, really great upper, held up really, really well, still holding up well, just looks ugly now. So to move on to fit, I suggest getting the size you normally wear in Tiempos. I wear a 9 in the Tiempo 9, Tiempo 7, Tiempo 10. These were a 9, fit me perfectly. I didn't have any extra room in the foot or the toe. I felt like it stretched enough for my foot when it fit in. And if you have narrow feet, you can still definitely wear these. The Tiempo is not a super wide silo, like boot silo, but I think the leather is what really helps it stretch for wide feet. So definitely won't have an issue with this boot. Get the same size you normally do. I'm not gonna say it's true to size because every silo, like the Vapors, the Superflies, the Tiempos, they all fit a little differently, but I definitely would say stick to the size you get in Tiempos and they'll fit fine. And to hit on durability, the last thing I really want to talk about here, I felt these held up pretty well for what they are. Having that untreated leather kind of had me worried that this boot's kind of just gonna fall apart. And honestly, it didn't. I didn't have any real sole separation. And actually here, you can just see the tiniest bit in the toe, like you can kind of see the little black spot there. That's just kind of something that's going to happen over time regardless. But other than that, there's no real separation. I'm starting to see just little slight bits, but it's just on the top of the boot, like on the very top of the seam there. So that's usually expected as well. And there definitely is damage, like scuffs, and kind of you can just start to see the leather that's really just worn after, you're scraping the ground, constantly hitting a ball off of it. But it really did hold together well in terms of keeping it the sole plate. Where I did have issues, however, is if we go in right here, I don't know how well you can see it, but this whole part of the upper actually started separating from the inside of the boot there. So I don't know if that's just because I didn't lace up all the way and it just kind of left some room to tear there, but it was only on my right boot. My left boot held together fine. So maybe it's just a fluke, maybe it's just, wear and tear on a boot. I know sometimes it happens, but it's definitely just coming apart all along the stitch seam where this kind of fits into the upper of the boot. So just going to my overall thoughts on these boots, I really did think this is one of the most well executed special edition or limited edition boot Nike has done. It kind of just gives us a little bit of homage to the Montebelluna factory, where they make all the pros boots. And it's just nice to get a pair of boots constructed from that factory and being available on the market. They're so hard to get outside of the market. So that is nice that they did that, gave us just something a little bit special, kind of gave all those cobblers and all those workers who put their heart and soul into making the special edition, well not special edition, but custom made boots to the pros, kind of just gives them a bit more limelight, and maybe not a lot of people really knew that beforehand. So definitely cool that we get that as well. So it would be nice to see something like this again in the future. However, now that they're getting rid of leather on the Tiempos, I really don't know what else they're gonna do. I think the Premier 3s are also gonna be the last leather boot as well. So with Nike not having leather, I don't know if we're gonna get any more Montebelluna boots because you know, they're always based around leather, and a lot of the pros that get their boots from those factories is made on leather. So maybe we'll still get some, and maybe it'll just be like a special edition Vapor or something, but I just don't know if we're gonna get a pair again. So I suggest getting a pair of these. They're definitely super nice, super comfortable to wear, and that's why I bought a second pair. I usually don't buy second pairs of boots unless I really like them. That's why I have, you know, 50 plus whatever pairs of 11 Pros that I have, is because I love that boot so much. So definitely speaks words. At least for me, it speaks volume that I bought a second pair because I just enjoy the boot so much. As for the rating, I'm giving this boot a 9.3 out of 10, making it the highest rated boot we've done so far. It is absolutely immaculate. Everything about it I love. I've said it so many times already. The leather's perfect. The look of the boot is insane. The holographic sole plate, you know, besides the insole, which I think would have made it probably a 9.5 or 9.6. That's kind of why I took it down just a little bit, which still 9.3 is insane for me, but like just that insole is the only real issue with this boot in my opinion. And the fact that the leather's untreated, but they were made to be untreated, so it's not really designed for theirs. So as always, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Please make sure to leave a like, drop a comment down below on this boot, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video.